Transatlantic Sports Show. I'm your host, Anthony Wootton. Thank you very much for downloading and subscribing this podcast, both on YouTube and audio-wise through your podcast provider. Now, if you are listening, you want to check us out on YouTube, you can find us, the Transatlantic Sports Show, at TASS_UK. And then likewise, if you're watching us, please check us out on your podcast provider. Like I said, you're going to want to follow us on social media, Instagram and X. We are at TASS_UK. I am at AR Wootton, which is WOOTTON. And of course, if you're watching on YouTube, you've seen the details pop up below on screen. In the next couple of weeks, we've got the MLB London series. We're accredited to those games, so there's going to be plenty of baseball content from the London Stadium coming your way. But as I said, this program is all about NFL International. We're celebrating the announcements of those London and Germany games. We're speaking to a man who is well connected to the NFL International Series, somebody who's been involved in all three London games with the New York Giants. He is a Super Bowl winner with the New York Giants, and he actually announced a draft pick from Munich for the Giants just last month. That man is the wide receiver, Brandon London. Delighted to say that he's going to be joining us in just a moment's time. But please, if you haven't subscribed, then check us out. You're going to check out our previous episode, which is a preview all about the Philadelphia Phillies from Marcus Hayes from the Philadelphia Inquirer. But for now, let's look ahead to November 10th and the NFL Germany game and reflect on the success of the NFL International games in London, of course, with the man who knows it all too well. Here's my conversation with Brandon London. Turning our attention back to the NFL, and that's probably what we're 80% about here on the Transatlantic Sports Show. And I'm delighted to say we're going to be reflecting on the big news last week. We had the schedule release, and we've discovered the teams that are coming to London, and of course, Munich. And I can't wait to get back to the Allianz Arena. That is one special NFL stadium, as my next guest is going to experience later this year, November 10th, Brandon London, former New York Giants Super Bowl champion. Welcome back to the show. It's been a while, man.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me back on. I cannot wait until the week of November 10th. I've been with the Giants and gone overseas 3 times with them, all 3 London games, and now to be able to go over to Munich. I spent a lot of time in Frankfurt and Wiesbaden already. So when they told us that told me that they were potentially going to be playing a game over in Munich and that Germany was going to be the headquarters, I mean, it was like music to my ears, man. I'm so excited to get over there. I love the country, love Germany, love the people over there, and I'm telling Giants fans, I'm going to be telling them, hey, buy your tickets now, get over there, because it's going to be a complete vibe.
Dude, it is such an incredible experience. I was there in 2022. I was in Frankfurt as well last year for the Dolphins and the Chiefs game. But that first game in Munich, that stadium is phenomenal. I'm sure you've seen the stadium. I don't know if you've been inside to experience it. But for NFL fans, and no doubt you were in Munich earlier in the month, or was it last month? Whenever the draft was, anyways, you were in Munich. So you announced the draft pick for the Giants from Munich. So you got a flavor of the American football fandom that has grown over there. It's such a big fan base. And I tell you what, that crowd is going to be buzzing. It was electric when it was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Tom Brady taking on Geno Smith and the Seattle Seahawks. The atmosphere was great. And just wait, my man. I don't know if you've seen the games, but once Take Me Home, Country Roads hits, it's chills, absolute chills.
Yeah, I mean, it's a completely different vibe, which is, I love it because I'm a coach's kid. So when it comes to football, I don't watch as a fan. I watch like the X's and O's, the details, the championship type details. But when I connect with Giants fans or fans like Big Blue Germany, the fan crew that's over there in Germany, when I watch with them, you can feel it. You can feel the fandom. So to me, it's just like, it's a break from the norm because I grew up on football sidelines as a kid. So to be able to like have a beer and just cheer and have a great time with a lot of the fans, Giants fans. I'm a Chelsea fan, so I'm big on Premier League and all, and then watching Chelsea matches over here at bars and stuff. So I love that fandom aspect that everyone's bringing, that everyone brings to the table. But Allianz Arena has been somewhere I've been wanting to go for a long time. I've been to Mainz's stadium. I watched Mainz versus Schalke. My favorite Bundesliga team is Hoffenheim, back when they had Serge Gnabry. So I went and watched Hoffenheim versus Wolfsburg. So I've been to Hoffenheim Stadium. I've drove past Allianz about 3-4 times already. I'm like, I have to get in there, because that is, I mean, you're talking about Bayern Munich, who has Thomas Tuchel, former Chelsea FC head coach. You talk about Bayern Munich, like you know that brand, that brand across the world. So that's been a stadium I've always wanted to go to. So again, November 10th, it can't come fast enough, because I can't wait for just the full experience.
Well, the whole travel infrastructure, the Germans have got it right anyways, but the travel infrastructure to get to the stadium, and then around the stadium, we got the Allianz Park, and it's just geared to, well, not tailgating in as you're used to at MetLife or anything like that, but it is geared to the whole fan experience. So the whole walk through the park as you lead towards the stadium, there's stuff going on. And of course, as a Chelsea fan, I mean, it's the scene of one of your greatest achievements as a club. The Didier Drogba penalty. You won the Champions League. You beat Bayern Munich in that stadium.
Absolutely. Yep. And we forget about the header that he had that match to tie it up. In the Senate. Yeah, I went crazy that one. But people ask me all the time. It's like, does the tailgating, since that's such an American thing, and our stadiums are built for the tailgate, does that need to kind of travel over the pond and be a part of, the NFL football over there internationally? I'm like, no, because I think they should keep the soccer fandom part of it, the pregame and postgame rituals, and bring that to the NFL. I want Europe. I want Europe. I want the Brazilians, everyone now, and next year, the Spaniards who get it. Bring your flavor to the NFL. Bring your culture to the NFL. The game's changing. Minute details here, but football is football is football. Is going to be football. But one thing that's making the game grow so much internationally, one, the players, everyone, I mean, from Pat Mahomes to Tyreek Hill to these guys, we're falling in love with these guys who put up these big numbers, and Justin Jefferson, so entertaining. But at the same point, we're coming over there to you guys. Football is always going to be football to me, but bring your culture, your fandoms to the stadiums, because for the Americans that's coming over there, it's just something you want an experience. If you're gonna, let's say you're a Giants fan and you're a Carolina fan, and you're not going to watch the game at Panther Stadium or MetLife Stadium. If I'm gonna go over to Germany, I can still watch Giants football, which is what I'm going over there, but be entertained in a different way. Be educated in a different way. So that's why I say we had a blast when the Giants were at Tottenham Stadium, when they beat Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. And a lot of people were like, "Oh, well, there's nowhere to tailgate. There's nowhere to." I'm like, "What do you need a tailgate for?" I took them to some pubs around the area. I'm like, "Let's go to the pubs, let's drink, let's have a good time," and then we walk in together. It's a completely different experience, and I love what the NFL is doing, and I love how the game is growing internationally. And I think it's bigger than football. It should be bigger than football when people go over and watch these games, because you're in another country, you're hanging out with someone who loves football just as much as you. They may be newer to the game than you, but y'all fans are crazy over there too when it comes to American football. So you're with like Carl Banks, the Giants' great Carl Banks says all the time, sports, the great uniter. Like, we get to people from all over. I remember there were some people from like Scotland, Sweden, Ireland, all over the world, and the Vikings jersey, Bears jersey, Giants jersey, Packers jersey. And we were all at this bar having a great time. We ended up I'm still in touch with some of these people to this day. They're on my WhatsApp right now. Can still get in touch with them. Stay still. Like, hey, how you doing? Hey, how's the baby going? That sort of thing. Like it's football. Sports is supposed to unite us. So it's like if you're gonna go over to another country to play the game and people love the game just as much as you do, embrace their culture. Have a great time with them. Let them show you around a little bit. So I was man, that these international games, anytime there's one, I'm like to the Giants, like I don't care where you gotta go. I'm coming with you guys.
Send me that. That's such a good take as well, and I think that's why I have endeared to the NFL Germany games, because I'm used to the NFL London games. I've been covering them for over a decade. I've experienced the NFL experience over stateside, whereas the Germans offer something completely new, and it is that German culture. And you mentioned there, you've been to a couple of Bundesliga games, you've been to some of the German cities. The German culture is such a wonderful culture, and it's brilliant at uniting people. And like you said with sport, just watch the Euros this summer. I know you'll be invested in the Copa America as well, because it's in your own country. But the Euros, it'll be a coming together, and it's that collective effervescence, isn't it, where people are together for and united for one thing. Okay, there may be a rivalry, it might be their town or team against the other one, but that collective effervescence, one that magnificent play, that elite athleticism occurs in front of their eyes, and everybody's like, "Oh, and you've experienced this thing." You go back centuries. You look at the Romans and the amphitheaters, and it's something that has united humanity for millennia.
That's why I love Giants tailgates, man. I always tell before I go into the stadium,
Yeah.
to do sound check and all. I always stop by the J18 tailgate because it's people from all completely different walks of life. And I've known a lot of them since 2016. And, at first it started off with just tailgating with people, but then it became something was like, oh man, let's just go get a beer sometime. This guy's cool. I've went and partied with some of them in their hometowns and slept over their houses. That J18 tailgate, they're at my baby shower, had all these gifts for Brandon Jr. and stuff. It's something to where it's like it's an entry point. Football is an entry point. Fandom is an entry point. You'll be doing yourself. You pay all that money to watch games. You'll be doing yourself injustice or a disservice. I feel like if you're not getting to know the people around you at all. I think one thing in this, all over the world, we're dealing with all different type of things with politics and social media. And people are depressed. Inflation. When's my next paycheck coming? For 3 hours. Martin, what sporting event you like? What sport you like? For 2-3 hours, you get to sit. Grown men get to dress up and paint themselves and all, and just scream at the top of their lungs for a team, for a common team, for a common goal for 3 hours, and just completely forget everything that's going on in the world. So, I mean, sports has just always been something that's just been in my life since day one. But I've always looked at it, how can I make sports an onion? How can I peel back layers to it? And I've learned through getting to know the fans, the fandoms, and doing Giants fan caves, and people showing me a ticket that their grandfather gave that's been passed down in their family, and their grandfather passed away right before the Giants' last Super Bowl. And it's the things that I've seen, nothing really impresses me now anymore, but I'm so blessed to be able to have gotten close with a lot of the fans and understanding their why. Athletes have their why, fans do as well. So I think for all the fans, Carolina Panthers, wherever you're going, London, Germany, Brazil, wherever you're going for these games, embrace the culture where you're at and introduce these people, give them a little bit of what it's like in Philly, being a sports fan in Philly, being a sports fan in New York, Carolina. Let's all just come together, have a great time.
I'll absolutely love that. Yeah, the Giants. What do you think it is about the Giants as an organization? You've been so well connected with the Giants. You won your Super Bowl title with the franchise as well back in '07. We'll talk about that Super Bowl and stopping Tom Brady in just a moment. But the Giants as an organization, let's not forget, they were involved in the first ever regular season game to be played outside of North America, that very first London game. They've played at Twickenham, they've played at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, they're going over to Munich. So they know something. And they've known something for a while, that this international stuff is a pretty good idea.
Yeah. I think, credit to owner John Mara, and again, I'm not just saying this because the Giants gave me my start
Mm,
in football and my TV career. I think what you asked, the answer to your question and what is it about the Giants, I think it's the loyalty. They're
right.
loyal to their fans. They're loyal to their players. They're loyal to their employees. A lot of people, like the head of community relations, the head of, some of the executive producers, people in PR, they were interns back in 2007, my rookie year, that Wembley Stadium year, that Super Bowl year.
Mm,
Now they run the departments. So they're really big at hiring within. You hear things like the Patriot way. The
yeah.
Giants way has been around for so long. And, kudos, and I tip my hat to Mr. Mara
Mm,
for modernizing or beginning to modernize Giants football. Maybe it's him, maybe it's, some of the kids, some of the grandkids who are kind of letting them know, like, hey, those back in the day, Lawrence Taylor's days and all that, those were glory years, highlight years. But your new Giants fans, your young Giants fans, they don't really know much about those guys. So going over to Europe, getting fans to go over there, having the 100-year celebration, doing something at Yankee Stadium with, and giving out Eli bobblehead pinstripes, doing things like that within the community, and the Giants have never had an in-game MC or any sort of entertainment. I started doing that 3 years ago. They came to me and was like, hey, actually, it started before that. They came to me and was like, we got to figure out something. We're losing. We got to figure out something. Because they're like, how about this? We're going to have you MC at halftime punt, pass, and kick competition. See what you do. I
mm.
was already doing player interviews and fan stuff and all, but they're like, let's see what you do, in game. Went out there, rocked it, had a great time. So now there's a DJ there. They have celebrity DJs coming in. They have an influencer suite because now they have, celebs and influencers come in, take the pictures and all. Kudos to the Mariners for modernizing the
Mm.
Giants way. And I think you're going to, within the next 10 years, they'll definitely win a Super Bowl. But I see them having their version of another dynasty, having like a 4 to 6 year run where they're in the playoffs or on the verge of winning a Super Bowl or making it to the Super Bowl every year, because players see that. Players around the league see that. And when you talk about a market like New York,
Mm.
it's not for everybody. Like, you can't come in here and just you can't come in here expecting. You got to come prove yourself, and the New York fan base will build you up. So but now, because of social media and everything, and the Knicks being good, Rangers being good, this is the time. This is the year for the Giants to make a move. They have to make it to the playoffs this year, because with all the fandom that's going around the city, the energy around the city, next year, that super attractive free agent, that top, whatever he is, I don't, quarterback, receiver, whatever it is, this is going to be an attractive destination again. So you're modernizing your organization. You got a really good head. I really like Brian Dable. I really like Joe Shane as well. You got really good infrastructure in terms of the coaching and all. You win some games this year, you get back to the playoffs, you're going to be able to bring in those final pieces to really be at the top of the NFC and possibly in the NFL.
You talked about loyalty there with the Maras and the Giants. They've shown a bit of loyalty towards the quarterback who's come under question, Daniel Jones. How short a leash do you think he has at the start of this 2024 season?
I'd say 4 games.
Right.
But the 4 games it's 4 to 6, I would say. Because let's say you in the first 4 games you're 1-3, but Daniel has played well. Let's say the defense, you got a new defensive coordinator and Shane
Mm,
Bowen. It might take them a little bit of time to kind of get caught up to speed with, if you got preseason, but these guys don't play that much during the preseason. And preseason speed is completely different than regular season speed. So let's say Daniel's 1-3 to start the season off, but he's played well, hadn't turned
mm,
the ball over and still throwing touchdown passes. I think he gets to 6 games then, because then it comes to, all right, you're playing well, but we're going to need you to play even better to overcome lapses in defense. If it's a situation where the Giants are 3-1 and Daniel hasn't played well, I think that that's where you start rotating quarterbacks,
Right.
giving Drew Lock some reps. But the fact that Daniel is where he is, he's throwing already in OTAs. He's expected. I haven't been out there. OTAs haven't been open for the media just yet, not until the May 23rd, Thursday, May 23rd, and we're going to be going there to see what he's doing. But he should be doing 7-on-7s. It's his job to lose. Remember, Daniel had a pretty solid season the year prior to last season, which is why that they signed him to that deal. I think, last year it was just terrible all around for everybody. And I think this is the year that, okay, they own that money. He's guaranteed, I believe, around $36.8 million, 35 to $40 million. He's guaranteed that. So you got to let him go out there and spin. You got to let him go out there and cook. And if you're the player, if you're Daniel, you could be Daniel Jones, you could be Geno Smith. You're looking at this, block out all the noise, say F it, and go out there and spin. What do you have to lose?
That's right.
If you're Daniel Jones. So I think they put weapons in place for him. Hopefully the offensive line is at its strongest, like it's been within the last, I guess, 10, 15 years. I'm spoiled because I had guys like Sean O'Hara, Chris Snee, Kareem McKenzie, David Deal, and Richie Stoibert as that starting offensive line. And, I got to watch those guys, not only their preparation, but the chemistry. Those guys, those offensive line, they hung out all the time in 2007. I want to see that from a Giants offensive line. Maybe it may not be that, that great, but you want them, you like my dad always said growing up, you're only as good as your offensive line. How am I going to evaluate Daniel Jones if he doesn't have time? So this is going to be a big year for him, but I think he's the guy for a moment like this. And not to say like, oh, he's got the big balls of like, or Mamba mentality. No, he don't care what he doesn't care about the tweets, about the negativity and all that. He's just like, oh, maybe I read it and it was just, could get to him. Maybe, I'm not around him, 24/7. But when it comes to, you talk to his teammates, you talk to his coaches, guy prepares like he's an undrafted free agent. The guy comes in each day, does his work, stays late, like people like him around the building. He's not chauvinistic. He's not, he's not going to show up at the Knicks game with chains on or flashy clothing. He's not dating a Kardashian or anything. Daniel Jones is boring, and that's okay. But when he goes out and he's playing well, the Giants are a team to have to worry about. Not only he's got a strong arm, the boy can run. He's mobile, he's athletic. So again, it's going to be a big year for him. Remember, Eli didn't start off his career looking like a Hall of Famer when he was here with the Giants, but he was able to turn it around, get it going, get his game and the Giants on the right track. And I hope Daniel Jones does that.
Are you impressed with how they've gone about their business, the Giants, this offseason? They lost Saquon Barkley. Do you think that the Giants fans are ever going to forgive Saquon Barkley for going to the Philadelphia Eagles? But, what's your impressions on their offseason and their building of the roster this year?
The player in me loves what Saquon did.
Yeah.
Like any of us who, if we have an employer, if we have a job, we all have jobs in life. If, let's say we all work for Pepsi, and Coke was doing a lot better than Pepsi, and they were going to offer me the money I wanted to go, why would my loyalty be to Pepsi? Like, why? Saquon did what he was supposed to do here. Saquon came here, was the face of a franchise. You never heard him in the news for anything bad. He was all throughout the community around here. We went to the Pro Bowl that one year. This dude, it was he and George Kittle stayed after the last practice, walked the entire fence line around the field and signed as many autographs as they could. We were out there after practice for over 2 hours. And I'm sitting there like, dude, we're in Orlando. I'm trying to go party. We're done. But Saquon's like, nah, I gotta So I'm holding his helmet. I'm sitting here like, bro, if he doesn't come on, that's the type of dude that was. So the slander, I get it. You know, as a fan, I get it. Yo, you went to the rival, forgive him. But you can't talk about that guy as a man, as a person. He did all the right things. Fan wise, I get it. He went to the rival, boom, and all that. But as a man, I respect what he did. In terms of the offseason, I freeing up that money, letting Saquon walk to free up that money to go get Brian Burns, absolutely huge. Because 2007, 2011, when Giants won the Super Bowl, what were the strengths of their team?
Yeah.
The defensive line.
Yeah.
They got after Tom Brady. You're going to have to get after Dak Prescott. You're going to have to get after Jaden Daniels and Jalen Hurts to make it out of this division. And it's going to buy you time for your offense to kind of pick up and get going. Helps the defense in the back end. They let Xavier McKinney go. I like Tyler Nubin. I think he can come in. I think he's a plug-and-play guy. And you look at the success that defensive coordinator Shane Bowen has had with safeties like Kevin Byard and Malik Hooker, Pro Bowl guys. I think Tate Banks is going to come around and really go into his second season embracing and ready for that CB1 role. And then you look at what they did bringing in Malik Neighbors, and then Tyrone Tracy Jr. is the draft pick that everyone should watch, the 5th-round pick running back out of Purdue. He lined up in the slot a lot as a running back at Purdue. So, yeah, you may not have that, hey, let me give this guy 30 carries. Like they kind of ran Saquon into the ground, but they had to. He was the entire offense, if you think about it. But now they've got it to where Darius Slayton, Malik Neighbors, Jalen Hyatt, all speedsters. Wan'Dale Robinson, your slot guy. Isaiah Hodgins, your big body guy that can go. And then Allen Robinson, your big body possession guys. We don't know what Darren Waller is going to do. So you could go 10 person. I mean, you could go 10 personnel and go 4 wide and have Isaiah Hodgins as that big bodied receiver that can kind of go down, block a linebacker if you need to. Devin Singletary is your bell cow back, but I think throughout the course of the year, I think Tyrone Tracy Jr. takes the bulk of reps, maybe not carries, but reps because of what he's going to add to the passing game. I think you're going to get a new look from the Giants offense this year where they're going to be a little bit more pass heavy and not have to rely so much on the run game. I want to see more. If the offensive line is not where we need it to be, you've put yak receivers in place so you can go quick game, 3-step drop, slants, Darius Slayton, Malik Neighbors, yak guys that can catch the ball for 5 and go for 50. So I think there's a new look that we're going to see when it comes to the Giants offense. And look, right now, everyone loves the offseason acquisition. They love the draft. They love everything look at the schedule release. We should go undefeated. Every fan base, everybody's feeling rah-rah right now. The dog days are coming, though. Yeah. Training camp's coming, and that's what makes the hair, stand up on my arm, because that's when you truly start forming your team. Right now, you're giving the identity. Hey, you start over. Everybody reset button. You come in. Hey, this is who we're going to be this year. We're going to focus on X, Y, Z, all that, yada, yada, yada. But once you get to training camp, and those dog days, and it's like, it's hot. This dude's sweaty. We're going after it. That's when you start building team chemistry, championship-like chemistry. So I think the Giants training camp is going to be huge because they got to stay healthy. But at the same time, all these new pieces and guys trying to carve out a role for themselves within this team, it's going to be very interesting.
You got me pumped, Brandon. Look, before we let you go, it'd be remiss of me to ask about your Super Bowl experience, Super Bowl champion 2007. How did you guys feel ahead of that Super Bowl? Of course, you're going to believe in yourselves, but you really, really believe in yourselves when you're coming up against the mighty Tom Brady and that seemingly indestructible New England Patriots team. You had nothing to lose, essentially, did you? So was there a belief within the group, and what was the plan going into that Super Bowl?
Without a doubt, there was belief and 100% confidence in every single player on that team. I was on the practice squad that year. So I had to be Randy Moss for those games. And I would love, I got to be T.O. 3 times that year. I was Randy Moss twice that year. And I absolutely loved it because of the routes they ran. And they would, on the scout team card, it would be circled to throw it to me. So rest in peace, Jared Lorenzen, the hefty lefty. He was our scout team quarterback, and he'd be like, "Belun, just run." And that gave me an opportunity to show my talents to the Giants to stick around. And then the next year I played well in the preseason. The Dolphins came grab and I played down there. But I credit that Super Bowl year to leadership. You look at the leadership we had in that locker room. Michael Strahan, Eli Manning, Amani Toomer, Plaxico Burress, Brandon Jacobs. And I already mentioned the offensive line. There were leaders across Sam Madison. There were leaders, R.W. McCorders, leaders all across the board. So I tell people this story all the time. Back at the old Meadowlands Stadium, both teams came out of the same tunnel. So when the Patriots beat us that last game and they snuck by and beat us, Brandon Jacobs goes, "We're going to see them again, and we're going to beat them boys." And Kelly Washington was a receiver for the Patriots at that time. And he goes, "In order for y'all to see us again, you got to see us in the Super Bowl." And then they got into it right there. And that right there, it breathed some sort of, there was already life within the locker room and all. It just gave that extra little motivation because I mean, guys showed up to work that next week when we had our couple of days off, came back because we were playing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That first practice, I was sitting here like, man, what did they put in the Wheaties this morning? Because guys, we were so sharp down to the practice squad guys. We were all sharp. Everybody within that organization was playing, typing, tweeting at an all-time high because it's just those moments, and you just have those moments, and that's what I'm looking for within the current Giants locker room right now. Who's going to be the Justin Tucks? Who's going to be the Osi Umenyiora? Who's going to step up in adversity and not just be a rah-rah guy, but it's like, you know what? I'm about to put this team up on my back and carry this team. The Bobby Okereke can do that. I want to see Kayvon do that this year. I want to see Brian Burns come in and do that. So it's going to be interesting. But that Super Bowl year, man, it was just such a blessing to experience that and to be around that and to be around the guys like Amani Toomer and Plax, because I molded everything. How I prepared for the rest of my football career, even in Canada, was like Amani and Plax. Like Toom was getting stretched and Toom was so next level back in the day, like eating right, martial arts, yoga, doing all those things. And at first I was like, this dude's corny. But then I remember one time he was like, "You youngsters," he's like, "you better hope and pray that you play as long as me. You better hope it," because Toom's that type of guy. He'll let you know about yourself. And I thought about it, and it's like, this dude, there's a reason why he's the Giants' all-time leading receiver. Longevity. He was doing the things to set his body up and his career up for longevity. I got to see that. I got to see the way Eli prepared. I got to see it down to the third-string quarterback, Anthony Wright. I got to see how he prepared. So it was one of those things where, like, you're going in the NFL thinking, man, we about to just hit the club, play football and all. But it was like, what is Eli's Toyota Highlander still doing in the team parking lot? And it's freaking 6, 7 o'clock in the afternoon on a Thursday. If you're not out working Eli, then you're not working, Right. So that's one of the biggest things I took from that team. And, I'll see a lot of these guys this Saturday at Dexter Lawrence and Brandon Jacobs celebrity softball game. I'll see a lot of guys from the 07 team. And every time I see them, man, like, they always come up to me. He's like, "B. London, I'm so proud of you, man. Like, we knew you were going to do this TV thing like back then, but we just wanted to make sure you were focused on football and stuff." But it's truly, that 07 team is truly a brotherhood, man. It's really a brotherhood.
Dude, look, Brandon, we could have you on all day to, reminisce and, your effervescence. We talk about effervescence, and Sport United people, the effervescence that you bring to this program. There's it's obvious why the Giants have got you presenting for their TV, and well done you as well. Can't wait to come to New York and check you out whilst you're at work and see you in action. We'll be heading over to New York this summer, so we're going to hopefully take in one of the preseason games. We might see you down there at Meadowlands as well. But look, thanks for your time, man. And look, if I don't see you in New York, I'll see you in Munich, no doubt.
Absolutely, man. If when I see you in New York, pint on me. When I see you in Munich, pint on you. And you guys
Got
got the
it,
strong beer over there. I love it,
dude. Some of that beer out in Munich.
oh, oh.
Fantastic. Can't wait. All right, dude. Well, look, enjoy the rest of the week. And hey, we got the New York Mets coming over as well in just a couple of weeks' time. So we're embracing New York sports. I know the Phillies are the home team, but yeah, we got the Mets coming over. And then before we know it, we got the Giants over in Munich. And of course, got the London games as well. But we're talking all things New York with you whilst we got you, Brandon. But yeah, thanks again. And have a great summer, man.
Take it easy, man. Thanks for having me on.
And there he goes, Brandon London. If he hasn't got you ready to run through a wall, I don't know who will. He's full of effervescence. Hopefully, we'll hook up with him when we're in New York in August during the preseason. If not, guaranteed that we'll be pulling a chair together and sharing a pint. Well, we won't be sharing a pint. We'll be having a pint each, maybe two each. We'll see how far it takes us. But out there in Munich, an absolute delight to have on the show, Brandon London. If you haven't been to any of the NFL International Series games, then please, I would suggest that you want to check it out if you're an NFL fan. Chances are, if you're listening or watching the Transatlantic Sports Show, you have been involved in some of those. And those Germany games, I cannot advocate them enough. Such a unique and special experience. I cannot wait to get back to the Allianz Arena in Munich, regardless of the matchup. You might say, well, the Panthers and the Giants this season. Look, it's NFL. And I guarantee you this, NFL Germany fans, they absolutely love the sport out there. They live and breathe their American football. So they're just going to consume whatever they can take. And the atmosphere is going to be just as special, regardless as to whether it's Daniel Jones at quarterback or Tom Brady at quarterback like it was in 2022. Please follow us and subscribe to the Transatlantic Sports Show, both via your podcast provider and on YouTube, and follow us on social media at TASS_UK. Got plenty more NFL content coming your way and loads of MLB content as well, because we are accredited for the MLB London series. So lots of great stuff heading your way. You're going to want to check our video content on your social channels. But until next time,